important chapter from examination point of view. Probably you will face about a minimum 15 marks paper from this chapter. It's a long chapter. Obviously, will not be able to complete in one class. It's a long chapter and important from examination point of view. So let's discuss what is contract. What is contract? Contract is an agreement between two willing parties. Contract is an agreement between two willing parties. Mean there should be offer and the other party is accepting the offer. And there should be consideration. Consideration means some party giving something and other party also giving something. Or some party promise to give something and other party also promise to give something. To give something mean exchange between parties, that is called consideration. Like if you are buying any product, one person is paying money, other person is paying the product, delivering the product. So for one party, the money will be consideration. For other party, the product will be consideration. And there should be intention to create legal relationship, mean both parties are willing to enter into the contract. And party must be having a capacity to enter the contract. Capacity mean they should be of sound mind. They should be major, mean above 18 years of age. And the contract should be legal. Like certain things law prohibit to trade. If you are trading with those things, so there shouldn't be any legal contract between the parties because that thing for which you are going into contract is illegal. So what are the essential elements of contract? There should be agreement, mean offer and acceptance. There should be consideration. There should be intention to create legal relation. And party must be capable, mean they must be sound mind and major. And contract should be legal. Now in this chapter, we need to learn detail of this, detail of this, detail of this, detail of this, and detail of this. So let's first move towards offer and acceptance. There are different types of contract as well. Simple contract, specialty contract, standard form contract, and void contract. Simple contract. It must maybe written, oral, or inferred from conduct of parties, mean both parties have done something for each other. So there will be a contract. What is specialty contract? Specialty contract is a contract that must be in writing, signed, and there should be some witnesses as well. Contract relating to land or lease are type of specialty contract, mean it should be in written form, it should be signed by both parties, and there must be some witness involved in the contract. Simple contract, you are buying any product from any seller. But specialty contract, there are some conditions that must be fulfilled. It should be in writing. It should be signed by both parties and there should be witness like contract for land and leases. What is standard form contract? Standard form contract, like you are buying any product and you need to fill a form to buy that product. And on that form, there are certain terms and conditions written. So you need to enter into the contract according to all terms and conditions. If you do not agree with any of the condition, you cannot make contract. Like suppose if you are getting admission to any institute, you need to fill a form. And in back of the form, there are certain terms and conditions written that you need to follow, that you need to obey. If you not agree with any of the term and condition, you will not sign the contract. If you are signing, this means you are accepting all the terms and conditions. So that is called a standard form contract, mean where you cannot negotiate any terms. because either you have to take the contract with all the terms or you can leave. There is no negotiation on terms. So that is called standard form contract. Like it is a ready-made contract available on a leave or ticket basis. For example, bank account opening form. Either you have to open bank account with all the terms and conditions of the bank, either you can leave. So simple. It could be written, it could be oral, or it could be action of both the parties. While specialty is a type of contract that must be in written, that must be signed by both the parties, and witness must be there, like contract of land and lease. Standard form contract, where all the terms and conditions has been defined on the contract. So you need to accept the contract with all terms and conditions, or you can leave. Like bank opening form, admission form of any institute. What is a void contract? Void contract is called illegal contract. Like in certain Islamic countries, alcohol is prohibited. And if you are entering into a contract of alcohol, so that will be void, mean illegal contract in that country. It's a contract that have no legal existence because that product is prohibited. You cannot trade in that illegal product. So contract of illegal products is called void contract, mean illegal. Mean you cannot sue other party if they breach the contract. So there are 4 types of contracts: simple, specialty, standard, and void. So contract is a written agreement between two willing parties. So there should be offer and acceptance. So let's discuss what is offer and what is acceptance. Offer. A definite and clear statement showing a willingness to be bound on particular terms. A definite and clear statement showing willingness to be bound on particular terms without further negotiation. Offer means if one party offer the other to do something, so that is called offer. Sometimes we visit different shopping store, different grocery store. There are some products on the shelf. Is that product on the shelf is offer from the store or not? The product on the shelf is not an offer. It is invitation to treat. The product on the shop shelf is not an offer. It is invitation to treat. So a definite and clear statement showing willingness to be bound on particular terms without further negotiation is an offer. It can be in any form, and it is not effective unless communicated to the offeree. Meaning in offer, there are 2 parties involved. One is called offerer and other is called offeree. Offerer who is offering something and offeree who is accepting the offer. So offer can be in any form, and it is not effective unless communicated to the offeree. Mean offer must be communicated to the offeree. If it is not communicated to the offeree, you cannot claim you have a make any offer. And offer can be made to a person, group of person, or even to whole world. Like if you are advertising something to sell something, it is open for whole world. An invitation to treat is not an offer. Invitation to treat mean goods on store shelf is invitation to treat. It is not an offer. And invitation to treat means inviting other party to make offer. If there is any product on the shop shelf, this means you need to hold that product and you need to move towards a counter and then you will make offer. I want to buy this and they will accept. If any product is on the shop shelf, that is not offer, that is called invitation to treat. So let's discuss further. Invitation to treat, following our invitation to treat. Advertisement. An advertisement is not an offer. However, it would be an offer if no further negotiation were intended. Mean if in advertisement you have provided all the detail, like this is my product, these are the features, and this is my final price, then it will be considered as offer. If you have just advertised a product, haven't provided the complete detail of features, haven't provided stated that this is my final price, so that advertisement will be considered as invitation to treat rather than offer. Let's discuss with an example case. In law, we need to discuss different cases because your examiner will give you these kind of cases and they will be requiring answer. So general rule, an advertisement is an invitation to treat, not an offer as shown in. There are two parties involved, Patridge versus Crittenden. The first party will always be claimant who is suing the other party, and the other party who is defending the case will be called defendant. So the defendant put the following advertisement in a magazine. Mean this person advertised in a magazine, Bramble Finch, cocks and hens 25 cents each. The Protection of Birds Act 1954 made in an offense to offer such birds for sale. Mean there was a law, you cannot sell these kind of animals or birds in general public. So defendant me, Mr. C, advertised to sell certain types of birds with a price, and P, while reading the advertisement, have sued the C that he is offering to sell certain type of restricted birds. But that advertisement is not an offer. That is called invitation to treat. So court decided this was not an offer. This was invitation to treat. So you cannot take any action against C. So this was an invitation to treat, not an offer. The advertisement stated that the birds were for sale, not that the seller would sell to all comers. The defendant was therefore not in contravention of the act. Mean there was no contract because that was not offer, that was invitation to treat. So advertisement will be considered as invitation to treat rather than offer. But there is some exception. See this case, Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. So Carbolic Smoke Ball Company is a basically medicine company who invented a medicine for flu. And the manufacturer of medicine, Smoke Ball, advertised in a newspaper that anyone who bought and used the ball properly and nevertheless contracted influenza would be paid 100 reward. Mean this smoke ball company advertised like we have introduced a new medicine that is procuring the influenza mean flu, and if anybody using the medicine caught flu, they can sue us for damages of £100 reward. And this case was of 1893, and at the time of 1893, £100 was a big amount. So Mrs. Carlyle used the balls, used the medicine as directed and did catch influenza and caught flu. So the defendant claimed that there was no enforceable contract because Mrs. Carlyle had never notified the company that she accepted this offer. So the court rejected the defendant argument on the basis that the wording of the advert was such that Mrs. Carlyle need only to comply with the terms. So advertisement are invitation to treat rather than offer. But if in advertisement you have clearly stated everything, then that will be considered offer. And in this case, this advertisement was considered offer because the company, Carbolic Smoke Ball Company, they deposited £1,000 into a bank account to pay the claims. And they advertised clearly, if anybody caught influenza by using our medicine, we will pay £100. So this advertisement is an offer rather than invitation to treat. So the court rejected the defendant argument on the basis that the wording of the advert was such that Mrs. Carly need not to comply with the terms of the offer, and there was no further negotiation intended, because there is no further chance of negotiation in this advertisement. So that will be considered offer. So once Mrs. Carly has satisfied the condition, she was entitled to enforcement of the contract. So furthermore, weight was placed on the £1,000 bank deposit, mean as they deposited £1,000 into the bank for the claims. So it was considered as offer to show their sincerity in the matter, in showing that the advertisement was not just a mere puff. And it's not like you are saying ordinary. No, your intention was clear behind your advertisement. So that will be considered offer rather than invitation to treat. So can you understand this concept? So advertisement will be considered invitation to treat rather than offer. But if there is no further chance of negotiation, mean your advertisement it's stating clearly. Now other person have to just act. They don't need to negotiate anything. They don't need to know anything. So this means this will be considered offer as in the C versus Smoke Ball Company case. So shop window display will be considered as invitation to treat rather than offer. Goods on shop shelves will be considered as invitation to treat rather than offer. Shop window display and goods on shop shelves will be considered invitation to treat rather than offer. Let's discuss these things. Shop window display. Fishers versus Bell. There is a case between Fisher versus Bell. The restriction of offensive weapon at Act 1959 created a criminal offense. I mean, in 1961, there was a law like nobody can sell offensive weapon. And a shopkeeper displayed some offensive weapon at his shop, like he displayed a flick knife on his shop. And Mr. Fisher saw the knife and sued the Bell shopkeeper. He is trying to sell, he is offering illegal weapons. So shopkeeper was prosecuted under this statute for displaying a flick knife in his shop window and thus offering it for sale. But the court case decided the display on shop window is invitation to treat rather than offer. A window display was not an offer for sale, but only an invitation to treat, so the display didn't infringe the law. And he didn't done anything against the law. He didn't offer to sell the knife. He just displayed on the shop window. The shop window, products on shop shelf, advertisement will be considered invitation to treat rather than offer. Mean you being a customer, if you want to buy that, you need to make an offer. And then shopkeeper will accept. Can you understand this? So goods on shop shelf. There is another case, Pharmaceutical Society versus Great Britain versus Boots Cash Chemist. Goods cash chemists. So statute requires that the sale of certain pharmaceutical must be carried out under the supervision of qualified pharmacist. There was a law like certain type of medicine cannot be sold to customer without a qualified pharmacist. There should be qualified pharmacist present, then you can sell a certain type of medicine. So Boots operates a store where the drug were displayed on a shelf service basis and a customer paid a cash desk for the goods they had selected. And if the product is on shelf, that is invitation to treat. You pick that product, you move towards cash counter. This means you are making an offer and cash counter person is accepting the offer. So pharmacist was present at the cash desk and the store is having pharmacist present, but not at the shelf where the goods were displayed with a price tag. So the pharmaceutical society claimed that the statute was being contravened, they displayed that product on the shelf and on the shelf place pharmacist was not present. So they tried to sue the pharmacy shop. The display of good in a shop was not an offer, but an invitation to treat. This was a court decision. It was a customer who made the offer and boards could either accept or reject this offer at the cash desk in the presence of the qualified pharmacist. So the act constituting the acceptance is the ringing up of the price on the till by cashier, and at that moment a binding contract of sale is made. This is not illegal, this is legal because pharmacist was present where the offer was made. Who made the offer? Customer rather than the pharmacy shop. Can you understand this concept as well? Invitation to treat is not an offer. Advertisement will be considered invitation to treat. But if there is no further chance of negotiation through the advertisement, other person have to just act to accept it. So that advertisement will be considered offer. Shop window display will be considered invitation to treat. And goods on shop shelf will be considered invitation to treat. Invitation for tender. What is tender? What is tender? Tender is a process. Suppose if one company want to buy certain products, like one business want to buy 10 computers. So they will open a tender. They will open a tender mean they will advertise in the newspaper or somewhere, we want to buy these specification 10 computers, and they will invite a different supplier to submit their proposal. Now different companies like Dell, HP, Lenovo, they will send their quotation like we can provide this kind of computer at this price. Other will say we will provide you this type of computer at this price. So now the business will decide from whom they need to buy. So that invitation for tender means submitting your proposal is not considered as offer. That will be invitation to treat. The HP, Dell, they are sending their proposal. They will be considered offer. And now business will accept any of the offer. If you're inviting for tender, inviting for putting your quotation. So that will be invitation to treat rather than offer. Let's discuss another case on it. So invitation to tender. When one party issues statement asking interested party to submit terms on which they are willing to carry out work or supply goods. If you are advertised to take a quotation from different suppliers, so that will be called invitation to tender. And person inviting tender is making invitation to treat. This will not be considered offer. While the one submitting tender is an offerer, and now business will accepting the offer mean acceptor. What is invitation to auction? Invitation to auction mean you want to sell any product and you have advertised in the newspaper like there will be auction of my product on certain date, time at certain place. Now different people who want to buy that product, they will come over that place and there will be auction. They will offer different prices and the person who is offering the highest price, you will sell the product to them. So that is called auction. Mean you are going to sell your product on auction basis. And auction is of two types, with the reserve price and without reserve price. With reserve price, mean you have set an price like I will not sell this product below this price, I will sell above this price. So that will be called auction with reserve price. Without reserve price mean you haven't defined any price. Who will offer the highest price in the auction process, you will sell to that person, regardless what they offer. And there is no price defined by you. There is no minimum price defined by you. If there are 10 people and they have offer maximum 10 pound, so you need to sell, you will be liable to sell in 10 pound. With reserve, like you have stated the minimum amount, like I will not sell below 100 pound. So now the people will offer above 100 and above 100 who is offering the highest price, you need to sell to them. What is invitation to auction? Advertisement auction is not an offer. If you're calling people for auction, that will not be offer, that will be invitation to treat. Now at the auction, people have to offer their price and you have to accept it. So when auctioneer ask for bid, that constitute an invitation to treat. And when bid is made, that is deemed to be an offer. And who will make the offer? The customer who want to buy the product. And when number falls, winning offer is accepted, there is a legal binding contract. I mean, people will offer their price, and if you have accepted, there will be a legal contract between the buyer and you, the seller. An invitation to auction mean auction is of two types, with the reserve price. Without reserve price mean items in auction will be sold regardless of price, mean who will offer the highest bid price, you need to sell to them. With reserve price, you have stated the minimum price, I will not sell below this. So advertisement will not be considered an offer, it is invitation to treat. Shop window display is invitation to treat. Goods on shop shelves is invitation to treat. Invitation for tender will be considered as invitation to treat. And invitation for auction sales will be considered invitation to treat. Let's discuss this case. Harris versus Nickerson. The defendant placed an advertisement in London paper that certain items, including some office furniture, would be placed up for auction over 3 days. The claimant obtained a commission to buy the office furniture and extended time and expense to travel to bid for the office furniture. Mean the person Harris arranged an office for the furniture and he want to buy the furniture and he traveled from other city to attend the auction. And on the third day, the lots of the furniture were withdrawn and Nickerson, who advertised like my furniture is for auction, he withdrawed on the third day. And when Harris claimant reached over there was no auction. The claimant sued for loss of time and expenses. Why? Because he made an offer and I accepted it and I move over there to buy that furniture on auction, but he withdrawn. So he canceled the contract. So he need to pay me damages for the time and the traveling expense that I have beared. But the court decided an advertisement that goods will be put on for auction does not constitute an offer to any person. That the goods will actually be put up and that the advertiser is therefore free to withdraw the goods from the auction at any time prior to the auction because that advertisement for auction is not an offer. This is invitation to trade. If you have moved over there to attend the auction, this doesn't mean you have accepted any offer because advertisement for auction is not offer. This is invitation to treat. This is another case. Harvey versus Facey. Harvey versus Facey. The defendant Facey was in negotiation with regarding the sale of his store. The claimant Harvey H sent the defendant a telegram stating, "Will you sell us a Bumper Hall pen?" His business name was Bumper Hall Pen. Telegraph lowest cash price answered paid. Will you reduce your price? If you reduce, I will buy. On the same day, defendant sent claimant a reply by telegram stating lowest price for Bumper Hall pen is £900. I will not sell below this. So Harvey sent F another telegram agreeing to purchase the property at the asking price and F refused to sell. And H sued for specific performance and injunction to prevent the new buyer from taking the property. F offered my business is for sale and H contacted through telegram and asked for the lowest price and F said my lowest price is 900 and H sent F and other telegram agreed to purchase the property at the asking price, but F refused to sell. So that 900 is my lowest price was not an offer, that was invitation to trade. If he said, okay, I want to buy at 900, that was an offer that the other person rejected. So there is no contract. The court held that by replying to F question regarding the lowest price of property, F didn't make an affirmation answer to the first question regarding the willingness to sell. So the defendant response to the query was a simply statement of information. It was not an offer capable of being accepted by the claimant. Can you understand this concept? If he advertised my business is for sale and the other person H asked for the lowest price, F said my lowest price is 900. It was not an offer. It was invitation to treat. So H say, okay, I am willing to buy at 900 and F refuse. So this means H make the offer that F rejected. My lowest price is 900. This was not an offer. It was invitation to treat. Very important case. Technical. Can you understand this case? So a mere statement of selling price in response to a request for information is not an offer. That was a mere statement. Like he asked, what is your lower price? He said, my lower price is 900. This was not an offer. You need to make an offer and other person have to accept it. Then there will be a contract. So a mere statement of selling price in response to a request for information is not an offer. A mere statement of intention to sell is not an offer. If you are having a product, the other person asks you, will you sell it? You said, yes, I will sell it. So this is not an offer. He need to make an offer. Okay, I want to buy this in this amount. Then you are accepting there will be a contract. So a mere statement of intention to sell is not an offer. When two parties make identical or similar offer to each other without knowing that other has made an offer, these are known as cross offer. Mean one person offer a price, other person offer another price. So this will be called cross offer. And in such a case, no binding contract is made as no one has accepted offer made by the other. If one person offer, I want to sell my this mobile for 1000. Other person says, I want to buy your mobile for 900. So this is called cross offer. This means the first offer of 10,000, 1000 was cancelled through that cross offer. So A said, I want to sell my mobile for 1000. B said, no, I want to buy your mobile for 900. And A rejected 900 offer. Now B say, okay, I want to buy in 1000. So that is not acceptance because his offer was cancelled with cross offer of B. So when two parties make identical or similar offer to each other without knowing that other has made an offer, these are known as cross offer. In such a case, no binding contract is made as no one has accepted offer made by the other. Mean A's offer, I want to sell at 1000 was not accepted by B. And he made cross offer. I want to buy with 900. So this means that 1000 offer was cancelled. And A rejected his offer of 900. This means that 900 is rejected. Now B cannot say, okay, I want to buy in 1000. This is my acceptance. No, this is your another offer. So now A, if accepted, there will be a contract. If he doesn't accept it, there will be no contract. So we have discussed what is offer and what is invitation to treat. Now moving towards a topic called termination of offer. Mean how offer can be terminated. There is a topic called revocation of offer. It means to cancel offer at any time before acceptance. Mean offerer can cancel his offer any time before acceptance, even if offerer has agreed to keep offer open. Mean he can cancel offer anytime. So that will be called revocation. Revocation must be communicated to the offeree by an offerer or any reliable third party, but your revocation must be communicated to the offeree. If you made an offer and you want to revoke the offer before acceptance, you need to communicate to the offeree by yourself or by any of the third party. Let's discuss a case. Arrington versus Arrington, 1952. A father offered to transfer his house to his son if the son paid the mortgage. Mean father offered to his son, I will transfer this house to your name if you pay the mortgage of the house. And the son began to pay the mortgage. But when the father died, his personal representative, mean other brothers, sisters, wanted to withdraw the offer. They said, no, that was not an offer. Accept it. But the court decided as he started paying the mortgage, this means he had accepted the offer. So there was a contract. So the offer could not be withdrawn because the son, by paying some of the installment, has started acceptance. Mean there was a contract. So often can be revoked by the offerer before acceptance, but it must be communicated to the offeree by an offerer or by any third party. But there are some exceptions. If offeree pays offerer to keep offer open, okay, I gonna pay you, he offer, mean Mr. A offered, I gonna sell my mobile in 1,000. So Mr. B have to accept the offer. But Mr. B said, okay, keep this 200 with you and give me a time for 1 week. I will buy from you. So if offeree pays offerer to keep offer open, revocation will amount to breach of, it's not of, it's to breach of that collateral contract. Mean if he say, okay, keep 200 with you, I will buy from you after 1 week. So that is an other contract. This means his offer, I want to sell with 1,000, that was not accepted. So if offeree, this is offeree, he's offerer. A is offerer, B is offeree. If offeree pays offerer to keep offer open, and revocation will amount to breach of that collateral contract, offeree could claim damages for that breach but could not accept offer. Mean A offer, I want to sell my mobile for 1,000. B said, okay, keep these 200 with you. I will buy your mobile after 1 week by paying you remaining 800. This means A offer was not accepted. Even B and A have entered into another contract. So in future, if A will not sell the mobile to B can claim only for his damages. What are his damages? That 200 he cannot claim the damages of 1,000 or mobile. So what is collateral contract? A subcontract relating to some subject matter. Mean there was one contract of selling a mobile for 1,000, but that was not accepted. If the offeree has made any other offer, so that will be called collateral contract. There is another term called unilateral contract. In case of unilateral contract, offerer cannot revoke offer once offeree has begun to perform act that amount to acceptance. And this we can understand through our case. So Harrington versus Harrington we have discussed. Let's discuss another case. Pine versus Leon Van T. LVT. B versus L. An offer was posted on 1st October. Mean B was living in London and Mr. L was living in New York. So there was a post on 1st October. There was an offer to sell something. It reached the claimant, mean it reached the B on 11th October. And the claimant immediately cabled his acceptance, and on 11th October, B accepted the offer and cabled me sent a letter to L. In the meantime, the defendant had changed his mind and posted a letter of revocation on 8th of October. When offer was made on 1st October, it reached to the offeree on 11th October. And on 8th of October, the offerer has revoked the offer because it was not accepted. The revocation was received by the claimant, mean offeree, after he had cabled his acceptance. Obviously, if he revoke on 8th October, it will reach to an offeree after 11th October. Even on 8th October, acceptance was not reached to offerer. So the revocation didn't take effect as it was not communicated to the claimant. Means revocation must be communicated to the offeree either by the offerer or by any other third party, as it was not communicated to the offeree. So there is a binding contract between the offerer and offeree, meaning he has to sell the product as per the offer. Please try to understand this concept. I mean, offerer can revoke offer before acceptance, but it must be communicated to the offeree. So on 1st October, you offer something to sell. And Mr. Offeree accepted on 11th of October. As you were not knowing he has accepted, on 8th of October, you revoke the offer. But till 11th of October, it was not communicated to the offeree. This means if he has accepted on 11th October, there is a contract between offerer and offeree. The revocation can be communicated to the offerer by a reliable third party, or any third party can inform that that offer is withdrawn. How third party can inform? Let's discuss this case. Dickinson versus Dodds. The defendant agreed to keep an offer open for 2 days. Okay, my offer is open for 2 days. However, in the meantime, the defendant sold the property to a third party, and the offeree was told of the sale by a third party. Mean offerer, Mr. A, offered to sell his property, and he said my offer is open for 2 days. B is a offeree. So before acceptance, A sold his property to any third party, and third party has informed the B like I have bought that property. But B knowingly he has sold the property. He said, okay, I am accepting your offer. And A is saying, no, I have sold the property, and B have sued the A. So this case is not genuine. He cannot sue A because before acceptance, the offer was revoked by the offerer and was communicated to the offeree, not by the offerer, by the third party. So the defendant Dodds agreed to keep an offer. Mean defendant is A, and who is making claim is B, mean offeree. So the offerer agreed to keep an offer open for 2 days. However, in the meantime, the defendant, mean offerer, sold the property to third party, and offeree, mean B, was told of the sale by a third party, but then attempted to accept the original offer. So this was a reasonable way of communicating revocation. The offer was therefore properly revoked and could not be accepted. So there is no contract. Can you understand this? The offer can be revoked by the offerer before acceptance, but it must be communicated to the offeree either by the offerer or by any third party. And there are 2 exceptions to the above of revocation. If the offeree pays the offerer to keep the offer open, any revocation will amount to a breach of that collateral contract. Mean that we have discussed the 200 he paid, I will buy you within a week. And if before that week he sold the mobile to any other person, he cannot say, okay, he will be liable to pay me damages of 1,000. No, he will be liable to pay only 200 that you have paid to him. Okay, let's move forward. So often can be terminated either through revocation by the offerer, or through rejection. Rejection means rejection could be either from the offeree or by the offerer in case of counter offer. So if the offeree reject the offer by directly saying or by making a counter offer, so offer is rejected. A, offer, make an offer to B, I want to sell my mobile for 1000. If B rejected, offer is terminated. If B say no, I want to buy it for 900, this means he made an counter offer. So first offer of selling in 1000 was rejected. So what is counter offer? An offer made in response to offer. A mere request for further details doesn't constitute counter offer. If A offered, I want to sell my mobile for 1000 and B asked, okay, provide me some detail about your product. Is there any chance of a further negotiation? So that will not be considered as counter offer. An offer will be terminated due to lapse of an offer. When offer will be lapsed? If on the death of offerer, the offer will be lapsed, mean terminated. On the death of the offering, the offer will be lapsed. Failure of condition. If A offer, I want to sell this mobile on certain conditions, and B didn't accepted those conditions, this means the offer is lapse. Mean if anybody reply me within 2 hours, I will sell my mobile for 1000. And if within 2 hours haven't received any response, after 3 hours you receive the response, this means the offer was lapsed after 2 hours. Now he cannot accept that. After expiry of a fixed time or reasonable time, mean the offer was made in January and the offer accepted the offer in July after 6-7 months. And he's saying, okay, I have accepted this. There is contract. No, there is a lapse of reasonable time. Reasonable time means a time in which offer must be accepted, a time in which that transaction must be made. So offer can be terminated with the revocation by the offerer, but it must be communicated to the offeree either to the offerer or the third party. Offer can be terminated with the rejection by the offeree or through counter offer. Our offer can be terminated through lapse on offer, and offer will be lapsed on the death of the offerer unless offeree accept in ignorance of the death. If suppose a person A made an offer to B and before acceptance A died and B is not aware of his death and he has accepted the offer, then the representative of offerer need to fulfill the contract because offeree is not known about death of the offer. Our offer can be lapsed with the death of the offeree. Offer can be lapsed with the failure of the condition. If any party do not meet the condition, offer will be lapsed. Our offer will be lapsed after a fixed time period that is stated or reasonable time period. Let's discuss a case, Hyde versus Wrench. Hyde versus Wrench. Wrench offered to sell Hyde a farm for 1000. So Wrench offered to sell Hyde a farm for 1000. So Wrench is offerer, Hyde is offering. Hyde made a counter offer by offering 950. I want to buy in 950. This means the first 1000 offer was rejected. Later, obviously, Wrench didn't accept it 950. Later, Hyde came back and said that he now accepted the original offer of 1000. No, he cannot accept it because that offer was rejected through counter offer and Wrench rejected it. Now Hyde sue the Wrench. No, he made offer of 1000 and I want to accept now and he is not accepting my acceptance. So court decided Hyde could no longer accept the original offer. Why? Because he made counter offer. So through counter offer, the previous offer was rejected. It had been terminated by the counter offer and was no longer capable of acceptance. His acceptance was merely a fresh offer which Wrench was free to turn down, and he has rejected. Can you understand this concept? So let's take a small break. After break, we will discuss the remaining topics. Are you there? Hi. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Guys. Okay. So we're discussing about how offer can be terminated. Offer can be terminated through revocation by the offerer before acceptance, but it must be communicated to the offeree by the offerer himself or by any third party. Offer can be terminated through rejection by the offeree, or any counter offer by the offeree. And offer can be terminated through lapse of offer. How offer can be lapsed? In case of death of the offerer, in case of death of the offeree before acceptance, failure to meet condition either by the offerer or offeree, or after expiry of a fixed time or reasonable time period. So let's discuss another case. Ramsgate Victoria Hotel versus Montefiore. Who is defendant? M. Who is claimant? R. The defendant applied to the company to buy some shares in June. Mean Mr. M want to buy some shares of this RV hotel. And in June, he applied for buying shares. The defendant applied to the company to buy some shares in June and paid the deposit. He didn't hear anything until November, when the company sent him a letter of allotment as acceptance and a request for the balance. So in November, RV Hotel accepted his offer and allotted him a shares what he want to buy in June, and they have requested for the balance, but M denied now. Why he denied? He said that was June. Now in November, I have made investment somewhere else. So RV Hotel sued the M for the remaining balance. So by this time, the defendant had changed his mind and no longer wanted to the shares. So the court decided the offer was lapsed due to lapse of reasonable time. If you are accepting in November the offer of June, you cannot accept in November because the offer made by M in June was lapsed due to reasonable time, like 3-4 months. So the offer was for a reasonable time, and only and since 5 months had passed since the offer had been made, the offer was deemed to have lapsed. The defendant was not bound to buy the shares, and their value could have changed dramatically in such a longer period. Might be their values goes down. That's why hotel have decided to accept his offer. And if the goods are perishable, the time for lapse will be very short. But even 4-5 months is a reasonable time in which offer can be lapsed. So we have discussed about offer. What is offer? What is invitation to treat? How offer can be terminated. Now we are moving towards acceptance. What is acceptance? Because agreement mean offer and acceptance, unqualified and unconditional assent to all terms of offer is known as acceptance. Unqualified and unconditional assent mean without any further reservation. If one party have made offer, you are accepting without further reservation, that will be acceptance. If you are saying no, I will buy in this, so that will be called counter offer, mean that will not be acceptance. If you are saying, okay, say, tell me some more detail about this, so that will not be acceptance. Acceptance should be without any further reservation, mean unqualified and unconditional assent. It can be made oral, it can be written, or by conduct. Conduct mean any action. Offerer can specify a particular mode of acceptance. Either you need to pay me amount in through check, either you need to pay me amount through cash, either you need to pay me amount directly into my bank account. So offeror can specify a particular mode of acceptance. However, if the mere request mode offering is not limited to that mode. If offeror is saying, if you are easy, may request me, he's saying, if you are easy, is it possible you can do like that? If there is a may request, so that will not be a particular mode. A particular mode should be specified. I will accept offer in that mode only. As a general rule, acceptance is not effective unless it is communicated. In acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. However, there are few exceptions as well. So let's discuss this case E versus M. So E is based in London. M is a Dutch mean based in Netherlands. Netherlands mean Amsterdam is a capital of Netherlands. So the claimant mean E, who is in London, who were based in London, made an offer by telex to the defendant in Amsterdam. The defendant accepted by telex. Telex mean way of communication. The point at issue was where the acceptance had taken place. Whether the acceptance was taken place in London or in M, as the offer was made from London, so the acceptance must be made in London. I in Amsterdam at the time of the defendant sent the telex or in London when it was received. And suppose E offered to sell some goods to M. M accepted and E not deliver the goods mean there is a breach of contract. So it can be important to know which country our contract was concluded, as different countries have different legal rules. I mean, if one party have breached the contract after the acceptance, then according to which country law court need to take action, it depends upon where acceptance was made. If acceptance was made in London, this court case will be dealt according to London laws. So acceptance is not effective until it is communicated. Therefore, the contract was made in London. And if the contract was made in London, then according to London law, it will be treated, mean who is guilty, who is innocent, and guilty party have to pay damages to the innocent party. So let's discuss. As the acceptance is not effective until it is communicated, therefore the contract was made in London, and the following conclusions can be drawn from this case. If a fax, telex, or telephone message is received during normal business hours, that is when it is communicated, even though it might not be read later until later. If a fax, telex, or telephone message is received outside normal business hour, it is deemed to be communicated when the business next opens. Mean if there is a contract, mean offer acceptance between a business and a other party offering, then the acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. If offerer is a business in normal business hours, if it is not communicated in normal business hours, mean it is email that have been reached to the business after 5 o'clock, mean normal business hours. So this means this acceptance will be treated as of next day rather than today. Mean before next day, if acceptance is not received, offerer can revoke the offer. Mean acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. If offerer is a business, it must be reached to the offerer within normal business hours. And if it reached to the offerer outside normal business hours, then it will be deemed as communicated in the next business day. And there are some exception to the acceptance as well. In Postal rule, if acceptance is through post, mean letter, then when the post was made, the acceptance is done from the point of view offeree as well as offerer rather than the post is received by the offerer or not. Mean if acceptance is made through post, so acceptance must be communicated to the offerer, and when offeree has posted the letter of acceptance, this means at that day time acceptance is made, whether that letter reached to the offerer or not. So postal rule state that acceptance is completed when a letter is posted. It only applies if letter, but there are some certain conditions. If letter is properly stamped, addressed, and posted. If you are sending acceptance through letter, through post, so when you have posted the letter, at that time acceptance is made whether the letter is reached to the offerer or not. Mean from your side it is communicated. But there are conditions that letter must be stamped, must be addressed properly, and must be posted by you. And post is a reasonable method of communication, and acceptance through post is a reasonable method of communication. However, if postal rule doesn't apply, if offerer state that he must actually receive acceptance, if the offer having a condition, the acceptance will be made when I will receive the acceptance, then postal rule doesn't apply because there is a condition attached to the offer. If there is no condition attached to the offer, then acceptance through postal is made when offeree has sent the letter, post the letter, unless the letter is reached to the offerer or not. Can you understand this? Acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. But in postal, when you have sent the letter through post, this means acceptance is done. There is a case. Feldhaus versus Bindley. Feldhaus versus Bindley. So Feldhaus is a claimant and Bindley is a defendant. What was the case? F want to buy a horse from B, and B sold the horse to any other person. Let's discuss. The claimant was interested in buying a horse and had discussed with his nephew, from whom the claimant F want to buy the horse, B his nephew, the purchase of a horse belonging to him. The claimant wrote to his nephew and stated in this letter that he assumed the horse was his for 30.15 if he didn't receive a response from a nephew. If I will not receive any response, this means my offer is accepted. The nephew didn't reply and instructed the defendant and auctioneer he had engaged to conduct a sale for his farming stock to withhold the horse for the auction, and he instructed his servant who was selling his farm and horse, like this horse I have sold to F, so please do not sell to any other person. By mistake, the defendant allowed the horse to be put up and sold, but his servant sold the horse. The claimant sued the defendant for damages. So he sued the defendant for damages, like why you sell the horse, because there was acceptance. So an acceptance of offer will not give rise to a binding agreement unless it is expressly communicated to the individual who make the offer. Although the nephew had the intent to sell his horse to the claimant, at the offer price, he didn't communicate this intention to his uncle or do anything to bind himself. Since property was not vested in the claimant, he had no right to bring action against the defendant. Mean he cannot claim to his servant why who sold the horse, because he promised with his uncle to sold the horse to his uncle, as it was not communicated to the servant. So what we were discussing, contract law, there are certain elements of contract. There must be agreement between offer and acceptance. What is offer, what is not an offer, when offer can be terminated, we have discussed. What is acceptance? What is acceptance, we have discussed. And we have discussed certain rules regarding the acceptance, mean must be communicated. And in postal rule, we have discussed the acceptance will be made if the letter has been posted. Now, the second element of a contract is consideration. Consideration means that both parties have to give something to each other. One party paying the money, other party sending the goods. So money is consideration for one party, good is consideration for another party. So what is consideration? It is an act or promise of it by one party of the contract. It is a act or promise by one party of the contract against the price or promise made to him by other party. Mean one party promising I will do this against this money, or I will deliver this good against this other money. So these are called consideration. Every simple contract must be supported by consideration. Without consideration, contract is not completed. From each party, however, contract made by deed do not require consideration unless terms of agreement require it. And there are two types of consideration: executory and executed. Executory, promise to give something in future, and executed, currently you are giving something when the act is carried out at the time when contract is made. Executed, and when there is exchange of promise or do something in future, that is called executory consideration. Mean consideration could be current, executed, or could be future, mean executory. And consideration must be sufficient, mean enough, but not need to be adequate. Adequate mean it should not be equal to the consideration of other party, but it must be sufficient. Like if one party giving you good of 1,000, it is not necessary like you have to pay 1,000, even you can pay 500 if both party agrees. It must be sufficient, but need not to be equal to the other party consideration. Mean that there must be some monetary value to it and must be capable in law of amounting to consideration, and must be capable in a law of amounting to consideration, mean according to law that amount should be considered as consideration. Let's discuss a case. Thomas versus Thomas. A promise to lease a house to widow for rent of £1 a year was binding. Mean one person giving house and other widow person paying rent of £1 per year. The consideration had some value and so was sufficient at law, even though it was inadequate as a year's rent. But in 1842, obviously £1 was something. So that was considered consideration because he is giving his house for rent and other person is paying some amount. I mean, should be any amount that is accepted by the law and must be sufficient. It must not be equal to both consideration. A son's promise to stop complaining did not amount to consideration as it had no monetary value. I mean, there was a contract between father and son, and father said, okay, if you will not complain about me, about my behavior, I will pay you certain amount. And son didn't complain about father behavior and claimed that certain amount, and father denied. There was no consideration. Why? Because the son act of not complaining is not of any amount, is not of sufficient consideration. What is past consideration? If anybody have done something in the past is insufficient and therefore is not valid. Consideration in the past, if the consideration is an act which has been wholly performed before the other party give his promise. I mean, one person done something in the past, he is saying, okay, actually I have done that thing, now you have to do this. No, there is no contract. The past consideration is not valid. And there is a case on past consideration. A mother and her three grown-up children live together in a house. One of the son and his wife did some decorating in the house of say £1,000. And later, the other two children promised to pay towards the decorating cost and signed a document to this effect. It was held that the promise was unforeseeable as all the work had been done before the promise was made and was therefore past consideration. And there is no contract based on past consideration. Mean the children, if they have signed any contract, like you have decorated something, so we will do something like we will transfer half of the property to your name. So this contract is not binding because from one party, the transfer of half of the property is consideration, and from the other party, there is no consideration because that decorating of 1,000 was past consideration. There is another case. A.B. owned a patent and C was the manager who had worked on it for 2 years. Means C was managing patent of software for A and B. Mean A and B had bought a patent of software and C was managing that patent of software. So A and B owned a patent and C was a manager who had worked on it for 2 years. A and B then promised C a 1/3 share in the invention for his help in developing it. Mean we will pay you 1/3 share of this software development. Mean when we will sell the software, we will pay you 1/3 of the profit as you has helped in managing the patent. The patent were transferred to C, but A and B then claimed their return. So they denied to pay to the C the 1/3. C could rely on the agreement. Even though C's consideration was in the past, it had been done in business situation. So at the request of A and B, and it was understood by both sides that C would be paid and the subsequent promise to pay merely fixed amount. So there was an implied promise to pay. Mean what this case is saying, the past consideration is not a valid consideration. The past consideration is not a valid consideration, but in case of a business situation, the past consideration will be considered valid consideration. So past consideration is insufficient and therefore invalid. However, past consideration can be considered valid in business situation. So as this case of A, B and C was in business situation. So if A and B promise, like we will pay you 1/3 of the shares of the sale of software because you did something in the past, you helped us in managing the patent in the past. So now A and B will be liable to pay to the C because that past consideration that he has done in the past in managing software was valid consideration. So past consideration is not a valid consideration, but in case of business situation, past consideration will be considered valid. Performance of existing statutory and contractual duty is not sufficient consideration. Performance of existing statutory and contractual duty is not sufficient consideration. If it is your duty to do something, and the other party says, okay, if you do this, I will pay you this. You cannot claim that payment because it was your contractual duty to do something. Let's discuss a case. Pauline versus Godfrey. A witness was promised payment if he would attend court and give evidence. I mean, there was a court case, like there was a murder of any person, and A was present at the time of murder. So somebody says to A, if you attend the court as a witness, I will pay you something. A attended the court as a witness and asked for the payment. The other person can deny the payment because it was a legal duty of A. If he saw some facts, he needed to present in the court as a witness to help the court case. So a witness was promised payment if he would attend court and give evidence. This didn't amount to consideration as he was legally required to attend the court as a witness. Similarly, performance of an existing contractual duty is not consideration. There is another case between Stick and Myrick. A captain promised to share the wages of the deserting seamen. Mean captain and different seamen. Seamen mean different other people. They were trying to move a ship from one location to another. And the other people who are working with the captain in the ship, they were the employee on wages basis. During half of the way, the other person tried to leave the ship. But captain asked them, okay, if you help me to move the ship to final destination, I will share my wages with you, half of the wages with you. So they stayed with the captain in the ship, mean they didn't left the ship. And upon reaching the ship to final destination, they claimed the captain for the wage share and captain denied. Why? If they had the captain to move the ship to their final destination, so that was not an additional consideration because it was their legal duty, their contractual duty to help the captain to move the ship to final destination. Because they haven't performed anything extra. It was their contractual duty. In fact, they were not performing their contractual duty. So captain promised to share the wages of the discerning seaman. Discerning seaman mean a leaving person, that those who are leaving his duty, with the rest of the crew who had contracted to sail the ship home. Mean if you help me to move this ship to home, mean final destination, I will share my half wages. Why he offered? Because they were leaving. Without their help, a captain wouldn't be able to move the ship to home. So while reaching at home, they asked the captain to share wages and captain denied. So captain can deny because there was no consideration from the discerning seaman. So the promise was not binding as there was no extra consideration from the seaman. They were merely doing what they had contracted to do because it was their contractual duty. However, there are three exceptions. If the existing contractual or statutory duty is exceeded, there is a sufficient consideration. Like if the seaman performed something beyond, mean more than contractual duty, then they can claim the wages, mean there was consideration. If they are performing their contractual duty and they did everything according to their contractual duty, they cannot ask for extra wages. Can you understand this concept? So performance of existing statutory and contractual duty is not sufficient consideration. However, there are three exceptions. If existing contractual or statutory duty is exceeded, there is a sufficient consideration, then you can claim something extra other than your normal wages. Performance of existing contractual duty may be sufficient if it confers some benefit of practical nature or other party. Mean by performing your existing duty, if the other person have made some extra benefit, then you can claim some extra wages because due to your extra effort, he got something extra. Performance of existing contractual obligation is a sufficient consideration to support a promise from third party. What does that mean? Let's discuss our case. There is a case between Hartley and Ponsonby. A high number of desertion from a merchant ship rendered the vessel unseaworthy. It was now undermanned. I mean, there was a ship, and normally on ship 50 people works. But now there are 10 people who are working on the ship. And if those 10 persons completed the work of 50 persons, this means they have done something extra beyond their contractual duty. Now they can claim something extra because they have performed something beyond. They have exceeded their contractual duty. So there is consideration. So extra pay was offered to the crew if they remained loyal and sailed the ship home. Now captain asked the seaman, if you help me to take the ship to home, I will pay you something extra. So now they can claim extra wages because they have performed the work of 50 people, mean beyond their contractual duty. So the promise of extra money was recoverable by the seamen who remained loyal since they were now working in a dangerous situation, not contemplated by the original contractual undertaking, i.e. they were doing more than required by the original contract. Normally 50 people work on the ship, but now if 10 people have worked instead of 50, mean they have done something extra. So now they can claim extra wages because that extra work beyond contractual duty is a consideration. The performance of an existing contractual duty may be sufficient if it conferred some benefit of practical nature to other party. Let's discuss another case. GBL versus GCC. Glassbrook Brother Limited is a company requested the police. So this is a police body council to provide protection in excess of the statutory requirement. And they need some security, but more than normal. And if these police person are providing security more than normal, so they can ask for extra remuneration because they are performing something beyond their normal duty, mean their performance is exceeding their normal contractual duty. So there is consideration. So the police had provided sufficient consideration to give entitlement to remuneration by providing the extra officers over and above the statutory mean normal security arrangements. So performance of existing statutory and contractual duty is not considered as consideration, but there are some exceptions. If existing contractual or statutory duty is exceeded, there is sufficient consideration, they can claim extra. Performance of existing contractual duty may be sufficient if it confers some benefit of practical nature to other party. If other party is receiving some benefit by your normal act, so you can ask something extra because he got something extra due to your normal work. This means there is consideration. William versus Roffrey brothers. W agreed to some carpentry in a block of flats for R at a fixed price of £20,000. So W agreed to do some carpentry work for R at a fixed price of 20,000 by an agreed date. The contract contained a timely penalty clause and R agreed to pay an extra 10,000 to ensure that the work was completed on time. So W, these are the workers who are working on a house, building a house for R. And there was a contract of 20,000, like they will receive 20,000 for their work. But R agreed, I will pay you 10,000 extra if you complete the work within time, to ensure that the work was completed on time. If the work had not been completed on time, R would have suffered a penalty in his own contract with owner of the flat. I mean, R is building a house for any other customer. And if R will not be able to complete the house on time, the customer will charge penalty to R. That's why he is offering to workers, I will pay you 10,000 extra if you complete your work on time. So as the worker completed the work on time, they asked for 10,000 extra, but are denied because it was your contractual duty to complete the work within time. But as R got some benefit due to their normal contractual duty, what kind of benefit? He avoided the penalty that he might have to pay to the customer. So workers are liable to receive that 10,000 extra because due to their normal working hours, R got something extra. I mean, he avoided the penalty from his customer. So the Court of Appeal decided that even though W was in effect doing nothing over and above the original agreement to complete the work by an agreed time, there was a new contract here for 10,000 extra payment. So the court decided that both W and R benefited from the new contract. Two reasons were given, even though W merely did what he was already contracted to do. This nevertheless conferred a practical benefit on R in that R not only avoided penalties under the head contract, but also cost and aggravation of employing substitute contractors. So our promise to pay extra 10,000 had not been extracted by fraud or pressure. It was R who had approached W and had volunteered the extra money. So it would be inequitable to go back. I mean, he has to pay that money to the workers of extra 10,000 because due to completion of work on time, he avoided the penalty to his customer. Otherwise, he will be suffering his penalty from the customer. So this was the rule. Performance of existing contractual duty may be sufficient if it confers some benefit of practical nature to other party. Now moving to our third rule, performance of existing contractual obligation is sufficient consideration to support the promise from third party. What does that mean? Let's discuss a case. Shadwell versus Shadwell. There was a contract between a person A and E. And that contract was relating to engagement, mean A engaged with E. And at that time in 1860, the contract for engagement was a legal contract. I mean, if you are engaged with any person, you have to marry with that person. If you are not marrying after engagement, this was illegal. So the claimant was engaged to E. Claimant who is claimant A. At this time, the engagement was an enforceable contract. The claimant uncle, mean A's uncle, wrote him a letter saying, I will pay you £150 per year during my life until your income as a barrister shall reach 600 guineas per annum if you marry E. Mean A's uncle promised to A, if you marry E, I will pay you £150 per year during my life until your income is below 600. So when the uncle died, the claimant sought to recover outstanding amounts from his representative. The deceased personal representative argued that the claimant was already under a contractual obligation to marry when the uncle made the offer, and therefore the claimant supplied no consideration. So he cannot claim that 150 per year from us because he was already in contract with E to marry her. So there was sufficient consideration as the uncle had promised the claimant to reward, and in turn the uncle had received a promise to which the previous had no right. The contract was between claimant and E. The uncle was a third party and the claimant promised to marry E is considered of the payment. Mean what was the rule? Performance of existing contract. Mean there was a contract between A and E that A need to perform is sufficient consideration to support a promise from third party. And if a third party says something, if you will complete your contract, I will pay you this as well. So if you are going to complete your original contract, this means there is consideration, so you can claim whatever is promised by the third party. I mean, he was engaged with E, A was engaged with E. This means A need to fulfill the contract, mean to marry E. But if the uncle says, I will pay you 150 per year during your lifetime until your income reach 600. And if his income is not reaching 600, he can claim that 150 per year from uncle representatives, third party. So if any person is doing his statutory or contractual duty, that will not be considered any extra consideration. They will not be liable to take anything extra. But there are three exceptions. If existing contractual or statutory duty is exceeded, if you're doing something extra, like instead of 50 people, there are 10 people and they are doing work of 50 people, this means they are doing something extra. So they will be liable for extra payment. Performance of existing contractual duty may be sufficient if it confers some benefit of practical nature to other party. Mean if the other party has received something extra due to your normal duty, so you will be liable to receive something extra because there was a consideration. And if you are performing a contract and third party offer you like I will pay you this if you perform your original contract, then you can claim from third party as there is consideration of performance of your original contract. Can you understand this? Okay, part payment problems in case of consideration, whether part payment will be accepted or not. Suppose there was a contract between A and B, like B need to pay A 500. Mean A deliver the goods, B promise, okay, I will give you 500 in future because consideration could be on executory, mean future basis. So B need to pay A, but B was not in a position to pay to A. So one of their friends C has informed A like B is in not a position to pay your amount of 500. I can pay on behalf of B 300. This means if A has accepted, okay, that's fine, then the contract is completed. Now A cannot ask B for the further 200 or C for the further 200. So that is called part payments. So payments of smaller sum doesn't cancel debit of a higher amount, but there are 4 exceptions. If A want to receive from B 500 and B is paying 300, now A can claim further 200. But if any other party, then these two mean third party is paying to A, then the smaller sum can cancel the larger sum. So payment of smaller sum does not cancel debit of higher amount, but there are 4 exceptions where third party has made the payment in case of higher amount can be cancelled with low amount. Composition with creditors like if a company is having 3 creditors A, B, and C, and all together they over 1000 mean they need to receive 1000 from the company. But if company is winding up and company asset value is a 600, so instead of 1000 they can recover 600. In that case, the smaller amount can cancel the larger debt. Accord where both parties agree with each other. If A agree, okay, give me 300, that's fine, our contract is cancelled. In that case, smaller amount can cancel the larger amount. Means smaller amount cannot cancel the larger debt. But in case the third party is making a payment with a smaller amount, this will cancel the larger debt. In case of composition of creditors, like at the time of winding up, credit balance can be cancelled with a smaller amount of company assets sold. Accord mean consent, willingness, where both party agree with each other. Okay, pay me 300, forget about 500, then smaller amount can cancel the larger debt. And satisfaction, consideration might be payment at an earlier date, payment at a different place, payment in different currency, etc. If A want to receive from B 500 and A said, okay, you need to pay me 500 after 1 month, but if you can pay me within 15 days, I can settle your debt with the 300. If you pay me in terms of $50 amount, I will settle your debt. If you deliver to my house, I can settle even with the 300. Means satisfaction. Consideration might be payment at an earlier date, payment at a different place, mean pay me at my house, deliver to my house, or payment in different currency, or pay me in dollar instead of 500, give me 300 value dollar. So in that case, smaller amount can cancel the larger amount debt. So smaller amount debt cannot cancel the larger debt. But there are some exceptions. If the smaller amount is paid by third party, it can cancel. In case of composition with creditors, winding up of company, creditors can receive smaller amount by selling asset. If both party agree with each other, smaller amount can cancel larger debt. And if the party asks the other party to pay before due date, to pay at different locations, to pay in different currency, then smaller amount can cancel the larger debt. And there is a case. Owed money to D and C and knew that D and C were in financial difficulties. R owed money mean R need to pay D and C how much? 1000 say. And now R know that D and C are in financial difficulty. So R offered to pay a smaller sum. Okay, I can pay 600. You can resolve your issues. So R offered to pay a smaller sum to be accepted in full and final payment of whole amount. R stated that it was not accepted, but his offer was not accepted by D and C. And he paid the 600. Now D and C claiming about other 400. The claimant would get nothing. The claimant reluctantly accepted the smaller sum, but later sued for the balance. The claimant could successfully sue for the balance because they haven't accepted his offer. They just received 600. Okay, that's fine, but they haven't accepted his offer. Several reasons contributed to the court decision. Amongst them were in view of the pressure put on the claimant and the claimant's reluctance, there was no true accord. I mean, they were not willing to settle in 600. Payment by check and cash are in these circumstances no different. Therefore, the payment by check didn't amount to consideration. It conferred no benefit over the above payment in cash. The equitable doctrine of promissory estoppel. This is the next topic that we will learn. Mean if there is a consent between both parties. Mean this payment was not made by the third party. It was not related to composition, but there was not accord. Mean he said, okay, I gonna settle my amount of 1000 with the 600. But they didn't accept it, so there was no consent. If he paid 600, now they can claim remaining 400 because the consent was not there, mean accord was not there. So in view of the pressure put on the claimant and the claimant's reluctant, there was no true accord, mean accord is missing in this case. So we have discussed today what is contract, essential element of contract, what is offer, what is invitation to treat, when offer can be terminated, what is acceptance. There were some rules of acceptance. And we have discussed the second element of a contract, consideration. Consideration, what is consideration? And there are some exceptions relating to contractual duty. and whether part payment can settle the full amount or not. So that's it for today. Hope to see you in next class, probably week after that week. So next week we are having no classes due to Eid holidays. So see you guys in next class.
Inshallah, Eid Mubarak, sir.
Eid Mubarak to you too as well.